heaven bear witness to our solemn and bloody offering. May they reveal the guilty in their falseness and find the truth. May the warrior grant victory to the innocent.
Be vigilant. Don't die.
What does Baelor, how does he feel about Maekar's choice in deciding to fight with his son in the duel? Because they're, of course, on opposite sides, but does he understand where his brother's coming from, do you think?
Of course, I think he strikes me as somebody with his head fairly firmly screwed on. And, I think he does with the unexpected thing. I think, one would expect that family to stand together. And, they're a family, aren't they, who are clinging to power. And, like any family of gangsters, they're sticking up for each other, they've got each other's backs. So the obvious thing to do would be for Baelor to stand with his family. That he doesn't, I think, speaks to his character, but yes, I think he understands his brother's actions. I think he loves his brother deeply. I think you see that right to the end. I think even in, right before death, he loves his brother. And yeah, I think there's a deep bond there. I can't quite remember the line, but he's strong, I remember saying. I think what came to me in that moment was that he loves his brother, and he's excited by, like when they were boys and they would revel in their ability to wound one another. He does that. That strikes me as there's a fondness there and no blame. This is what happens. This is what happens when you get into fights. Somebody gets hurt.
Maybe that's why I remember it that way. It's like, because he's not angry at him. He's like, well.
Yes, that's good. I think that's good. There's not anger there. Yeah, he strikes me as a very, he's living on a higher plane than most of us mortals, this Baelor fellow. He's able to, anger doesn't seem to be his default, which is why they'll talk about him as a good king, I'm sure. Or the king that never was, You'd like to believe, wouldn't you, that our leaders don't default to anger very easily. And he's certainly a good example to leaders who might be out there. He's, cut from the right cloth.
He certainly defied some Targaryen stereotypes from what we saw.
Yeah, I like that about this story, actually. I think that George Martin sets up stereotypes so as to confound them. That's what he does time and time again. And that I really celebrate. I think that's a great way to look at the world. And, he writes these tribes, and then he makes each individual from each of those tribes upend the stereotype. And Baelor's no exception to that. And that strikes me as very humane and very loving of people and true about people. None of us is our family. We're all born into a family, and then we have our own choices to make.
Dunk and Egg are so naturally good. It reminds these characters what it really means to be noble. So how would you both describe the impact they have on your character specifically? Perhaps an impact that can't fully be shown on screen.
Well, that's very good observations. Firstly, 10 points. But I think, but also it's very, for my character, it's very confronting, actually, the kind of purity of his moral code, a kind of a real reminder of what it is to be a knight, even though he's only a hedge knight. He really kind of reminds me, I guess, reminds all of us of something that maybe has been lost. But also, does he affect me? Not really. It's his kind of, it almost makes Maker kind of double down on a kind of ruthless streak that is in him. He makes him pause, I think. I think that's one of the simplicity of Dunk's observations, of his view of the world, of his view of goodness, makes everyone pause. But for Maker, I just don't think he can afford to. I don't think he's got the courage to be anywhere as good as Dunk is in the show.
There's something about meeting this young, noble, optimistic, naive giant in Dunk for Lionel that is sort of weird, and he doesn't know whether he wants to punch him or kill him or dance with him, and I think he then probably he then finds it funny, like, oh, that's sweet. You believe in goodness. You believe in that a knight's job is to be good and honourable. Like, that's sweet and weird, and you're not going to last 5 minutes, but that's great. And I think that becomes interesting, and the more Dunk sort of consumes this idea of goodness and really follows through with it, that he moves from being something of a curio for Lionel into being like, okay, you know what, I'll follow you. I will actually follow you into this battle, because, like, I don't know who you are or where you came from or why you're doing all this stuff, but it is interesting. And, you know, so much so that towards the end of the series, I think Lionel would happily go off on an adventure with this guy and take him with him and go and kill some people overseas somewhere.
I think the character in Dunk and Ray, I think they complement each other so well in the way that they're almost similar in how they are and where they are at that point. So yeah.
I think Dunk changes Arian's life for better or for worse. I think Arian is slightly bored and embarrassed at this tourney they've found themselves in, and he feels like his family is above it, but this Peter Claffey shaped wrench is thrown into the spanner is thrown into the works, and it's very interesting to him, and he kind of uses him as a tool and is then kind of embarrassed by him, and yeah, I think that probably kind of marks him for the rest of his life.
The final result in episode 5 is so chaotic that it's hard to see what's happening really with anyone. So what's a stunt that both of you performed in this fight sequence that we may not have seen on screen that you really loved doing?
Don't know if it's a stunt really, but I got dragged through the mud. Yeah, that was fun. It was kind of just, I had like a rope tied around my ankle and then had Pete pulling my leg as well. So yeah, and I mean, fun it might be the wrong word, but it was, yeah, I spent a lot of time gazing up into blue skies over Belfast, but yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah, for me it was the scene with Stefan and the training scene. Not just the scene itself, but the whole build-up to shooting that scene. It was a big part of me and Edward Ashley creating our chemistry and building our trust in one another. And to see where it started, to then putting it on set and how much it evolved, and with the help of C.C. Smith putting it together and choreographing it, it just, yeah, I feel like it was a big part of, that was a big part of mine and Ed's relationship and informing, and yeah, it was a great one to do on set.
Yeah, and can you paint a picture of what the sensory experience of filming those scenes was like? Because I imagine it was quite intense.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely pretty overstimulating. You got all the like fog coming in from the Atmos machines. You have all the mud kind of around you. It was sometimes like raining, and then they would spray the mud down some more, so you can, yeah, it's like gritty and dirty. Then we had just a tremendous invasion of wasps that had kind of taken over the arena. So yeah, there was a lot going on. Yeah.